guys! Welcome back to my channel. Before you watch the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and the bell! So many of you requested me to share my cultural shock here in the Philippines. So today I decided to share my experiences with you.
There are a bunch of things to talk about when it comes to culture shock.
But I'll try my best to summarize what I experienced. First, let's talk about environments. When I first came to the Philippines, it was quite different with the Philippines now. When I first arrived here in the Philippines and walked out of the airport, I couldn't breathe because it was so humid. It was amazingly hot. And along our way to our new home, I saw a serious traffic in Manila. But that time, I did not really realize that it was a serious matter because I was young. But as I start my college life in Manila, I realized it's really a serious matter. The normal arrival time takes around 30 minutes from Makati to Bonifacio. But when it's traffic, it takes around 2 hours. I'm not even kidding. It's that serious in Manila. Since I'm living in the province, here in Pampanga, it's not that traffic. But in Manila, it's a whole different story. With that experience, I super got used to the traffic here. So 3 to 4 hours travel is nothing for me now. So the next culture shock I experienced is, why is there no trash can in the public? Yes, there may be a trash can in the malls or some places, but it's not often to see a trash can in the public. So I always carry a bunch of trashes in my bag to throw it when I reach home. I heard the reason for not putting a lot of trash can in the public was to prevent terrors, because some terrorists might put a bomb inside the trash can. That's what I read in the internet. With that, since there's no enough trash cans, there's so many trashes on the streets, and I think you guys also agree with that. When I go to the markets or just walk on the street, seeing a trash is normal here. But I'm not trying to say Philippines is dirty, guys. So that's just one of my experience. People take time to get used to the environment, so that's same as me. So have you seen a Korean commuting here in the Philippines? Jeepney, LRT, MRT, bus, FX. That's me, girl. I tried all the transportation here in the Philippines, and the worst experience I had was in LRT. I was really shocked because there was no enough space anymore in the train, but people keep pushing each other to fill in that small place. So since there's a lot of pickpocket, be sure to put your backpack in front of you and be careful with that kill smell. The next will be based on my experiences on the streets here in the Philippines. Some of you might agree with me that there is catcalling here in the Philippines. And some people say it's a culture, and some people say it's because they are friendly. Personally, I think catcalling here in the Philippines is a serious problem. I once saw a Facebook post by a Filipino girl before, and they all acknowledged that it's a serious problem. I used to hate going out of streets here in the Philippines because most of the tricycle drivers or jeepney drivers, they catcall me when I just pass by. That is why when my parents told me to commute, I really disagreed with that. One of my viral TikTok video was me pretending like a tricycle driver and calling the Korean and like, anong sayo, anong sayo. For me, that's a funny experience, but at the same time, it's my bad experience also. People were fighting in that comment because some of them say this is a catcalling and it's really bad, it's a toxic culture. Some of them say it's a culture and it's a friendly thing. They do that because they like you. So it was a war zone there. What do you think, guys? Maybe I can talk about this topic later on with my next video. And next experience in the street will be staring. People stare at you so much. When I was in high school, me and my sister rode jeepney to go home. And then, there was a guy keep staring at us like that. And me and and my sister were like saying, 언니, 저 사람 계속 쳐다봐. And we started realizing that's one part of the culture. So I learned to stare back when they're staring at me. So it's like an eye fight. And then, starting that point, me and my sister, we started staring at that person. I'm like, let's see who wins. And they will eventually look to the other side. So I learned to adopt the situations like that and create my own tips. Last for my experience in the street will be people wearing pambahay clothes outside. Most importantly, I got to see a lot of men go topless in the streets and they show their tummies like that. And I think it's because it's hot. I did not notice that is something to be considered as culture shock. But when my Korean friends came to the Philippines for their vacations, they were asking me, Christy, why are they topless? And that time I realized that is something not usual to see in Korea. I think I really got used to the environments here. And now when I see guys topless or with their boxers on, I'm just like, okay. I'm just totally fine with that. Moving to the next topic. One of the culture shock I had here in the Philippines is yaya and ate. Yaya and ate could be considered as babysitters or housemates. In Korea, hiring a housemaid is for super wealthy people only. But here, middle-class people also hire ates or babysitters. And that was something very new to me. But for my family, since we're not used to the housemates, we don't really hire ates in our house. My mom just takes care of everything. When I first came to the Philippines, I stayed in my auntie's house. So my parents were in Korea and my sister and I first came to the Philippines to study English. That time, I first experienced having an ate. And ate was something unusual for me. Like when I came back from the school and enter my room, my bed is fixed, my things are organized, and I felt like a princess that time. For me, ate is not just a housemaid, but a friend and a teacher. Because I personally experienced hanging out with my ate and always studying with them. So it's a good memory for me and I miss those times. Also, having an ate is really beneficial for working moms here in the Philippines. Interestingly, women here in the Philippines are highly respected within their family members. And that will be my last culture shock experience. Women here in the Philippines are greatly empowered and they have same social and political rights as men. And we see often they hold a high authority in political and business words. And that is something I really respect here in the Philippines. Because in Korea, one of the problems in the society is that women are sometimes looked down by men. It derived from our old tradition that women can't study and women should just cook and clean in the house, and that culture still stays in the society in Korea. That's why I really respect the culture here, that they respect women just like men. And I hope someday I can also see that in Korea. Actually, I have a lot of things to talk about
When it comes to culture shocks,
but I will end my experience here because it's gonna be super long. The topics I discussed today was kinda sensitive and I hope you guys did not find it offensive because that was just based on my experience and it was a very long time ago. And just remember that I love Philippines, so please don't bash, guys. So I hope you enjoyed my video. If you want to know more about my experiences here in the Philippines, just comment down some questions you have. And I hope I can see you in my next video. Bye!